You go first.
Hi, I'm Ethan, aka the Twiz, and
I'm Ashley. No AKA, just Ashley.
this is our first installment of He Said She Said, where we watch movies and review them. We just got through watching Jersey Boys, starring a lot of people you probably never heard of, and Christopher Walken. And
yeah, you want? I don't know. What did you think of it?
okay, what did I think of it?
Yeah,
I liked it. Did you like it?
I loved it, but
We've both seen the musical, so
yeah.
We have some sort of frame of reference. It's been a while since I watched it, so some of the stuff I couldn't really remember as well. But you'd seen it.
I've only seen it once, but I remember
though.
it pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that if you've never seen the play, it was kind of weird because they're like talking to the camera a lot, like breaking like the fourth wall or whatever.
Yeah, well,
and so it was just like in terms of a movie, like that's not like a normal format, I guess. So I think that if you've never,
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, so I think that if you've never seen the musical, it'd be like kind of confusing, but I loved it. But that's just because I don't know, I'm biased. They could have made like just an okay movie, and I would have loved it. Anyway,
No, I know,
so.
I know. For me, I thought the acting was actually really good. John Lloyd Young played Frankie Valli, and I'd never even seen the guy before. But I thought they're all really good. I thought Christopher Walken, the biggest name, didn't even have that many. He was maybe in 3 or 4 scenes total. So, but I thought the acting was pretty impressive. I liked it. I'd say I'd give it maybe an 8 out of 10. Because what?
I don't know, nothing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought the movie was really good. I liked the musical. I think I'd say I liked the musical better. I thought the script was like a little bit dull at times, and not bad. I mean, it was funny, but it was just like the pacing was kind of like it wasn't as consistent as I'd hoped it would be, and the humor wasn't as. I remember the musical being funnier, having more humor like throughout.
That's true, I guess. I thought it was really funny, but anybody that talks like that, I think it's for like. My dad's from New Jersey, so hi, Dad. And I think it's really funny because it was a movie from the 1950s about New Jersey, and if you go to New Jersey, people still talk like that. So to me, it's just hilarious. That's why I think it's funny. So I was laughing a lot, but I can see what you're saying. I do remember laughing more at the musical than I did at the movie, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if like they're more ridiculous and over the top because it was a musical, like in terms of acting, so it made it funnier. Yeah,
I mean, and I think I really liked the Joey Fish's character. I thought he like in the musical he was my favorite part.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like or later on, you find out that it's Joe Pesci, the actor. So it made it even cooler. But he wasn't. I don't remember. I remember him being in it more in the musical.
So. I don't remember. He wasn't like one that stood out to me in the musical, so I don't know.
I like him. But so. But anyway, I mean, and then the other thing that I noticed was that the character progressed. Like, there wasn't as much of a, like, so what as you'd feel like, I mean, I wasn't even really that much attached to the characters until, well, Frankie Valli is really the only character that you really get attached to.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit Tommy, but not attached to, but, like, you kind of feel bad for him. Mm-hmm. But Frankie Valli, like, it wasn't up until the very, like, when he was singing his last song on stage, the I Love You Babe, after his daughter died. But even when his daughter died, I still didn't really feel, I mean, like, I feel bad, but, like, I didn't feel, like, I didn't tear up or anything like that.
Yeah,
and I tear up quite often. It's easy to make me tear up in movies, but I just wanted to feel a little bit more, a more tug right there, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. I feel like the actor probably could have given us more at that point, too. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, that was the way it was written. But he didn't really feel... I mean, they showed, like, the mom was, like, sobbing and, like, everyone was sobbing. And, like, Frankie Valli looked sad. But, like, I felt like he should have seemed more heart-wrenched about it, I guess.
It could have been also, like, his daughter wasn't, like, a huge part of the movie. You didn't really see their relationship develop or anything like that. Like, you came in and you're like, wait, which daughter is this? Like, you didn't really know what daughter it was. Well, so that was another part of it.
Was she the youngest daughter?
I think she had to have been the youngest because this time they didn't really specify how, like, the time lapse.
Well, when they had that one kid and she was little and she was drawing, they called her Francine, so where were the 2 other kids?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe she was the oldest. But then the oldest, when they showed the earlier, she looked more like the youngest.
Yeah, so I don't know which was which, but I do remember in the play like being really sad when she died, and I don't know
Yeah.
if because then he did sing. Frankie Valli, like the character, sang "My Eyes Adored You" at that point, and so I think it
Oh,
made
yeah,
it more
because
powerful instead of because they just played it in the background
yeah,
at that point. You know, he only
yeah,
sang it to her like when she was little, and then they played it in the background. But I remember during the musical, I was really like I cried. I was a kid, but I cried,
yeah,
and because he sang the song,
yeah.
and so it made it kind of
It was a little more heartfelt.
yeah, it made it more heartfelt.
I kind of compare like these kind of like the rise and fall movies. Like I like those kind of movies, but at the same time, it's hard to because they're telling a story and they're forced to just tell the story and they're trying not to make it seem like contrived and made up. So they a lot of times you don't really get the ending or the results that you want in the story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a good example is Raging Bull. Like Raging Bull is like the epitome of like a rise. And I'm one of the few people who's not crazy about that movie, but at the same time, like it's a good movie and like it really shows like the rise and the fall of the character. This one was kind of the same thing. There wasn't as much of a fall. I mean, you kind of see him trying to pay off the debts and stuff like that, and like kind of playing at like odd gigs here and there. But like when he sings the "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" towards the end, that's like I got chills at that part.
Yeah.
Like that was the first time in the movie where I actually like felt and not felt anything, but felt I guess like attached to the character was at that point. Because I mean, maybe because I'm an artist too, and like you see artists that were huge in their heyday, and then they get further down the line, and they're they're not as big anymore, and they're just playing the county fair circuit or whatever. No offense to county fairs, but
you're right. I didn't really think about the fact that I wasn't attached to the character, but it just when I watch that movie, like it makes me think of like my dad and like how he grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah,
anything that takes place, anything that takes place in New Jersey, and they kind of talk like that, it kind of like, especially in the 1950s. I love the 1950s, and anything musically that came out of the 1950s was just genius, and I just am obsessed.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like that's what kind of strung me along. So I guess it kind of made it hard for me to focus on was I attached to the character, was I not attached to the character because of the movie, because I became attached to them because of my own. You saw
like your dad and his friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's why like the character that I actually liked the most was Bobby. Like because I'm a songwriter and he was the writer, and I thought it was really, and when he came in, I remember him in the musical as well, like his character, and I feel like he wasn't as. I feel like he came along later in the musical than he did in the movie.
Yeah, he did.
As soon as like he came in, as soon as they introduced Joey Fishes and Joey introduced them all to Bobby, that's when the movies kind of started taking off. Like the first act was a little bit more, it was a little slower, and like I was kind of wanting it to pick up the pace. But as soon as that, but at the same time, it kind of paralleled their success. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of paralleled the whole thing with them rising and getting to the point where they were starting to gain momentum.
That's funny because for me, Bob Gaudio was probably like my least favorite character. Like,
really?
I mean, at first, like I really like him, and he's like, "Oh, this bright-eyed kid who just really wants to write music." And,
well, he's kind of a dick, though.
He wanted the group to fail from the beginning.
But even at the end, he said, "Oh, I don't care about Jersey. Like I wasn't from this town.
No,
like,
I know.
I don't care about the town. And, like he wasn't." And that was kind of the whole overall theme of the movie was the town and like them trying to get out of the town.
Yeah.
And that's probably why there was so much like they needed Bobby, but at the same time, he created the friction between everybody.
And he's like kind of sneaky, and like he always had that look on his face, like he never liked Nikki. And I always felt bad for.
No, he liked Nick. Oh, no, he just didn't really have a relationship.
Yeah, with Nikki, I know, and it makes me feel bad.
Tommy.
No, I know, but he like didn't really care for Nikki that much, and it like kind of made me sad. Like when that scene when they're talking about the debt and they're talking about what they're gonna do, and he's like, "I don't care about anything else. Like I care about what happens with me and Frankie." And then Nikki
Nikki's still there.
I'm like, "You're just
I did like Nikki.
Jerk,
I did like Nikki though too.
Yeah, I really like that guy.
At first, you're just like, "Oh, he's just the guy in the background," but then over time, you're like, "Okay, this guy's kind of."
I probably got the most attached to him, even though
he's just a normal guy. He was the most like his ego was probably the smallest. Yeah, and he was just the most like everyday, ordinary guy. You know. And I just feel I liked him too. That's true.
But that's what I mean. Like at first, like, and I remember really liking Bob Gaudio in the musical. So I don't know what they did in the movie. I don't know if it's because I'm older and I understand more like
also
his character.
In the movie, you can see their face.
Yeah,
you can see their expressions. Like on stage, you just see them.
Yeah,
like you can't even really a lot of times like distinguish between one character and another. But in the movie, you can like really tell who's who and like see what they're feeling. Better, you know.
I really liked it though.
Oh no, I didn't dislike it. I actually liked it. I actually liked it pretty good. Yeah. But it just I felt like it could have like I wanted a little bit more energy and a little bit more like I feel like it could have been paced a little bit better.
Well, I do think it's harder because in the musical they have a lot more time that they can play with
Yeah.
than they do in the movie, you know? And
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long movie already.
Yeah, how long was like over 2 hours, right?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. But
see, I didn't even know it was going to be that long. But then, it kind of has to be, though.
2 hours and 14 minutes, I think
to portray, now they all know we're looking at them. Before, they're like, oh, how do they know these names? How do they know all this info about the movie? There's no namers. They're professionals, but you just pointed at the thing.
Maybe you're a professional. I'm definitely.
We have Rotten Tomatoes open in the background.
Sorry.
They're paying us for this, by the way.
I wish. They could, though.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. I do have to admit that in the musical, it feels more powerful because you know that they're really singing it. I remember, like, in the musical, like, the music felt really powerful, but that's what a musical is supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, like, really be drawn to the music. But I still think they did a really good job.
But they also tried to make it not musical, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like West Side Story or Sound of Music where they just break out the song. Like,
yeah, I know.
It was more, in the musical, it was a musical, but in the movie, they took the musical and tried to make it like
a movie,
a little bit of a musical, but like it was also just a movie. Like it didn't feel like a musical.
It was more a movie about music.
Yeah, exactly. Would you want to do like final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
I don't know. I just love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did. I could watch it just because, like I said, I just love listening to anything that has to do with the 1950s, and that's from New Jersey. So.
Yeah, it definitely gets better as it goes on. I think the third act is the strongest, and I think that's the highlight of the film, in my opinion, is the third act. So out of 10, what would you rate this movie?
A 9.
A 9 out of 10? I'd get it an 8 out of 10. So that wraps up our installment of He Said, She Said, and a Jersey Boys edition. So hopefully you subscribe and check out more of our videos when we put them up. Thank you. The times, and later on you find out that most was rising. Looking at the musical bit.
Bye. I just supposed to watch you.
Facebook.com/EthansFunJug. Plug it in.
Plug your Facebook for your fun joke. That's fun.
Peace!